The Raptors can't stop the shorthanded Milwaukee Bucks as they fall 130 to 122. Welcome to Raptors Tonight. I'm Randy Urban, joined by Paul Jones, Sherman Hamilton, and Jack Armstrong. Jack, the Raptors really struggled to slow down the Bucks offense, especially from three. What do you think the Raptors could have done to guard the three better?
I think when you look at Milwaukee tonight, they're playing a team that has a lot more shooting on the floor. Obviously you put Allen, Cotton, obviously Holiday, Lopez will shoot it, Portis, you go down the list. They were that much more perimeter oriented. I mean, you take Giannis out, who's a great, great player, and he attracts so many defenders. But that's a team that you just have to almost hug the line as much as possible to try to guard them. And keeping the ball in front of you is always a problem. I thought the pace of play created some good opportunities for Milwaukee where they beat the defense down the floor. I mean, both of these teams were a little bit tired tonight. But the guard play on both ends was great. I mean, really great. I mean, just so exciting. And Sherm mentioned it before we just came on the air. And I wholeheartedly agree with Sherm how special a player Drew Holiday is. And if you look on the Raptor side, how special Fred and Gary were for a good portion of this game. And, you look at how disappointing Fred VanVleet performance was against Atlanta on Saturday. And you look at him the last two games on a back-to-back, logging big minutes, really, really encouraging.
So, Sherm, you mentioned that he's on your all-time underrated list. And, no Giannis tonight, no Chris, sorry, I stole your line, no Chris Middleton. But he's really put the Bucks on his back the last two games because he had a big night against Indiana the night before as well.
Yeah, and I don't think anyone in Milwaukee's surprised. His shooting percentage from three has gone up every month of the season. So he's shooting around 44% this month. So when you think about Drew Holiday's ability to score, is there anywhere on the floor offensively that he can't score from? He can get to all three levels. He's a physical, bigger guard, and he takes on bigger bodies when he gets around the basket. But he has this fluidity of movement that is it's fun to watch. And then you flip it to the other side of the basketball. He can get down defensively too. He gets after people. He's physical on that end as well, has great instincts, active hands. And he's one of those two-way players that, to me, just doesn't get the shine that he deserves. But he's doing a great job. And then another roadblock gets thrown at them where Brook Lopez gets thrown out of the game. And now he's got to shoulder more of the load. And I just think that he's done a great job, and the timing is good. He was a bit banged up, but now he's back. He's getting thrown into the fire, so he has to re-engage quickly and get that feel for the game back, and he's doing that without Giannis and Chris Middleton in the lineup.
Hey, don't fool yourself. This guy was an all-star 10 years ago. Like, it's not like this is new. Philadelphia had him
10 years ago.
Well, when was he an all-star in Philadelphia? I'm guessing. I think it was 9 or like. Philadelphia.
Well, he's been in the league for 14 years, right?
Okay,
so that makes sense.
I think it was 10 years ago. I'm just going off the top of my head. I've been around this game way too long. But Philadelphia drafted him, made him an all-star, and then Sam Hinkie in the tear-down tank decided to trade him to New Orleans. And then now he gets moved to Milwaukee, and he's a kind of the missing piece on a championship team. So don't fool yourself. This is not new. Like, people that don't know, don't act like you're surprised that Drew Holiday, he was an all-star in 2013. So, I'm in the neighborhood there, but to Sherman's point about his gait, the fact that he could be an all defensive team player, and he sacrificed for this team to win a championship. Very unselfish, very team-oriented. I'll give up what I need to do or my own self for the good of the team, and they do have a championship, and don't be surprised if they're sniffing around one this year either.
It was interesting, Jonesy, you brought up the length of time from when he was an all-star that obviously showed a number of years in the league. And I think, in a league right now that keeps getting younger and younger by the year, I think it's a really poignant time to look at sometimes, bringing in good, very good veteran players where I think people write them off a little bit and say, guy's a little older, long in the tooth. I'm not sure how much they have left. Would I rather that guy, or would I rather a guy that maybe is a little bit inexperienced and not ready for the bright lights when you're trying to win? And I think he's an example of a guy that, to Sherm's point about being so underrated, what a great trade it was. And they weren't getting a kid. They were getting a long-standing professional athlete who's got a lot of miles on him, but knows what it takes. And I think when we look around sometimes, so much of it comes down to, hey, we got to get that guy because he's got upside. He's got potential. He's this, he's that. How about them winning? I mean, you look at the Raptors when they won the title. Serge Ibaka was not a young guy. Marcus Gasol was not a young guy. Just a few examples of that. Danny Green wasn't a young guy. And you bring a few guys in that when the chips are down aren't going to crack, they're going to elevate.
Hey, so Sherman, you don't go ahead, Jonesy.
I was going to say, Randall, look in the cockpit when you fly. If the dude or the woman that's flying the plane has a little gray hair, I'm okay with that. They've been there. Right. They've been there before. I know I'm okay with that.
So Jonesy, you don't, or Sherm, you don't buy into this notion that people are kind of floating out there that the Bucks, because they've been 500 since they went 9-0, around 500, that they're maybe not contenders. Like they look like contenders still especially when they're healthy. Like, I don't know where this is coming from, but that's kind of being floated out there right now.
Yeah, well, it can float on because it can. It's passing me because of that. I mean, we just saw a Bucks team without two of their best players on the floor, losing another rotation guy who was having significant impact, and their depth answered the call. When you have second unit guys around a Drew Holiday and you can get the job done, that says a lot about the quality of your depth. So there's no question to me that this is still a championship-made team, be challenging for a championship. And they've done a lot of this without Middleton in the lineup for the most part. So if you're counting them out, you're an idiot.
I love that. Jonesy, any insight into what went down there with Brook Lopez and Gary Trent Jr.? Seemed a bit unnecessary.
Yeah, it did. I mean, I thought Gary was just kind of tagging the big guy in the lane, and maybe it was a little bit too physical for Brook Lopez. But, I mean, Lopez walked him from the middle of the lane to the front row of the stands. Yeah. And, maybe he expected Gary to get out of his way. Why would Gary back down? And I thought it was interesting that, here are two teams that have a little bit of a history, and good for Toronto for standing up. I thought, Big Cat's the first one in there, and he even got a technical, but, that's the kind of stuff that you want to see if you're, as we always say, if you're in the fight, you want your guys to be there with you.
Mm-hmm. And Jack, Gary was amazing offensively tonight as well. 28 points, 4 threes, just efficient as well.
Before the Atlanta game, he have 9 games in a row where he had 19 or more. And then he had a tough one against Atlanta. And again, the last 2 games, he's coming back to life, hunting down his shots, doing a good job, using screens, getting to the rim, just really comfortable. Plays at a good pace. Mm-hmm. He kind of knows what works for him. Doesn't take a lot of dribbles, but when he takes them, he kind of knows what he wants, why he's putting the ball on the floor. Mm-hmm. And he and Fred VanVleet have developed a really good chemistry. I think they look for each other. I think they respect each other. And it's interesting. There was that one time, I can't remember when, but it was that one time where Nick Nurse said, hey, I need a little bit more from Gary Trent in terms of being active and all that defensively. I tell you what, the guy's been a consummate pro since he's been here. I really enjoy him. He's got a really cool, upbeat vibe to him as well as a person. And I just think the guy's a pro. I really enjoy watching him play. Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned Fred, Sherm, for a guy that was questionable with back spasms before the Knicks game. He's put 2 big-time scoring games in a row on the page. I mean, you couldn't really ask for more than what he brought tonight.
What I really, really enjoy about Fred VanVleet is it doesn't matter what's happening through the first 43 minutes of the game, 44 minutes, 45. Down the stretch, when you need him, he's going to make a play. He's going to help his team. And that type of mental toughness, that belief in yourself, that confidence, that determination, it's a beautiful thing to see. And Fred in this game was absolutely phenomenal, getting to the basket and mixing it up. And really, Milwaukee didn't have an answer for him until later on in the game. They got a couple blocks on him. But I just thought his determination and his calm demeanor, his balanced approach, the look on his face, his physical reactions to things, that's leadership in a way that goes beyond what you can really put into words. When the team sees the leader, calm under pressure, not reacting, they follow suit. And I think Fred does a great job from a leadership perspective.
Jonesy, what did you think of Siakam's game tonight? He had 23 on 8 of 13, did miss 5 free throws. It felt like to me that he was struggling a little bit to get to his spots despite shooting a good percentage.
Well, I mean, it looked to me like they were trying to take advantage of some of Milwaukee's coverage in terms of the drop defense. And there were a lot of times when the mid-range stuff was open, but Pascal, who likes to get deep into the lane, at times you get down there and you got Brook Lopez like a tree in the middle of the lane standing there. You're going into a guy who he's not going to leave the lane. He's going to stay there. So I thought Pascal adjusted and did a little better job later in the game of finding the mid-range and the long-range shots. I mean, you look tonight, he took, 13 shots, 23 points. That's not bad. The problem was the free throw line. And I just think the Raptors in general, Pascal being part of it, some of their shot making deserted them going down the stretch, right? They scored 3 points in the last 3 minutes when they were within 2 with 3:09 to go. They couldn't get anything down. And I thought that hurt them. And, the only basket they did score was with 6 seconds to go. So you just kind of keep plugging away. I'd like to see them pick up the defense and, keep the shot making consistent, because tonight I thought they did make enough shots through the first 3.5 quarters for their offense to keep them in the game.
Right. Okay, guys, good stuff. Going to stop it there. Next game for the Raptors is Thursday against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Tip-off goes at 8 p.m. Eastern. After the game, be sure to catch Raptors Tonight on YouTube and NBA TV Canada. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.